Wake up in the morning, get my grind on. Hop in the shower, brush my teeth and get my shine on. Hey, Scholar Mac, we taking trips to different time zones. I feel like E.T. way these bitches tryna find home. Wake up in the morning, get my grind on. Hop in the shower, brush my teeth and get my shine on. Hey, Scholar Mac, we taking trips to different time zones. I feel like E.T. way these bitches tryna find home.
Welcome to Living on Purpose podcast. We're your hosts, Jason Wilson and James Hagler.
What's up?
Today we have Marquise Ogden. Marquise was a professional football player who played for the Bills, Ravens, Jaguars, and Titans. He has since transitioned as an executive coach and keynote speaker. Marquise is a good friend of ours. We've been talking back and forth now, Marquise, for about 3 or 4 weeks on Instagram?
Probably about a good month. I'd say about 4 to 6 weeks, somewhere in that area. Yep.
So Marquise has a lot of experience as a pro athlete, and now he's a world-renowned speaker. He's been on several programs, including his own podcast show. Tell us about your podcast, Marquise.
Yeah, Jason, the podcast is called The Lev and Marquise Show. And what it does, we interview amazing human beings that all have one thing in common: great stories. They're all about helping others. They all have overcome some type of adversity. They all have gone through some type of perseverance and have come out on the other side. We actually interviewed today a guy named William Hung, who was known as the Ricky Martin, Bang Me Baby guy from American Idol. And he talked about how he won a talent show in college, which gave him the self-confidence to go on American Idol. And he didn't win or anything, but he was able to prove to himself that he could face the negativity, the critique, the self-doubt, and get to a place where he could go out and have fun in his life and do something cool. And he did very well with his life after that. And so we interviewed people like that. We had Gus Farad on today, who's an NFL quarterback for 14 years, to Willie Parker, to business owners, to military people transitioning. If there's not a theme of the type of guests we look for, other than them all as being great human beings, again, with great stories.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
That's great.
Yes,
So Marquise, tell us your story about how you became a professional athlete. I know that you were a star in high school and all of that, and your brother played professional football as well.
Correct. So I went to St. John's College High School, which is in Washington, D.C. It's the same high school that Kevin Plank, who is the owner and founder of Under Armour, went to. Went to that school. It was an amazing conference. Schools like DeMatha, which is always, ranked across the nation, Gonzaga, Carroll, McNamara, Good Counsel. There was 8 guys from my graduating class across the entire conference that went to the NFL, like Marvin Brown, John Day Owens, Brian Westbrook, just to name a few. Wow. And from there, I didn't really get a lot of scholarship offers. Actually, I got none until the very end from Howard University. And it was awesome because I'm from DC, 1. 2, my dad was a Howard grad. He played football for the Bison back from 1969, 1972. So I got a chance to go there, carry on the legacy. And it was amazing to be in that place of a Howard University lineman that was able to carry on a family bloodline and legacy at Howard. And then from there, ended up being a 4-year starter at Howard, which was, to me, amazing because I'm like, man, I got no scholarship offers to go to college to Howard at the end. If I play a year or 2 at Howard, that's great. Yeah. But I ended up starting as a redshirt freshman at right tackle, and I was a 4-year starter. I was a 3-time All-American, 2-time All-American, and 1-time, I was a 3-time All-Conference and a 2-time All-American. And, from there, I was like, what's next? We'll see. And I wanted to work at Merrill Lynch, and I wanted to work, that scene, financial planning, and that was what I was looking to do. But the NFL had other plans, and I went to the Hula Bowl and played there and did very, very well. A guy you'll both know who was actually on my team, was my quarterback in the Hula Bowl, is now the head coach of the Cardinals. Cliff Kingsbury was my quarterback on the team. Just great guy, Mac Brown, who's now, at the time he was at Texas. Now he's back at Chapel Hill, was my head coach. And another guy you'll probably know, may not know him, but you'll know his sons, Jack Harbaugh, the father of Jim and John Harbaugh,
Right.
was my O-line coach. So played in the All-Star game, Hula Bowl, and then I was drafted in 2003 by the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'm still today, gentlemen, the only offensive lineman ever drafted from Howard University to the National Football League. We've had guys go to the NFL, undrafted free agent, signed for camp, which is great. But I'm the only O-lineman to be ever drafted from Howard University to the National Football League.
Wow, that's amazing, man.
When you were down at Jacksonville, what kind of diet did you guys do? Was it a plant-based diet?
No, I mean, for me, man, like I was big into everything. Big, meat eater, all types of food. When I got to Jacksonville, I was probably about 310, 315-ish. By the time I got done with my first year, I got to be about 325, really working on lifting and running. And, it was actually nice to have the weight room was great, but Howard's weight room was fine. I mean, a bench is a bench, lift's a lift. What I got from the NFL and the teams I played for that didn't get at Howard, it's not Howard's, issue or anything. It's just the way it was. And still, there's not very many colleges that can have this type of environment for their players. Was the dining hall. It was the food. It was the high quality of the meat. It was the high quality of all the things else, the vegetables, the freshness. You could get breakfast, lunch, dinner. There you could come in, have breakfast, you have lunch, and you could even take dinner home in little to-go boxes. So the type of training table, the type of healthy grilled chicken and grilled turkey and pure turkey meat and pure lunch meat and all these other things, that was not available to me at Howard University. And again, I don't begrudge Howard for that because in reality, they did the best they could. But the training table and the quality of the food was huge for me getting into the National Football League.
The reason why I asked, because I know some football teams use a plant-based diet. I was checking out the Game Changers on Netflix, and I know a lot of football players that were on there changed their diet to a plant-based diet to get better blood flow and for a better complete game. If you ever get a chance to see that documentary.
There's a guy, I don't know if that's the movie he did or not. There's a guy named David Carter who played in the NFL, played for the Cowboys and for the Cardinals. And David is a movie producer, and he has a documentary on Netflix talking about plant-based. I wonder if that was his documentary.
It might be. It might be. Yeah, it might be.
Yeah, because David talked, because he was a 320-pound nose guard that was vegan. So everything plant-based. And
his
so
wife cooked a lot of his food too, didn't he?
Yep, correct.
Yeah, that was him. That was him.
So we had him on our podcast, and his business partner, Reggie Walker, talking about what they're doing now with their brands after football.
Oh, dope. No.
So Marcus, how was the transition from professional sports to the corporate world? How was that for you?
It was really hard. When I left the NFL right after I left the NFL, for about 6 months, I was an alcoholic. I was a manic depressive pain popping addict. I was a narcotic addict, hydrocodone, hydrocodone. I was a gambler. I was a nightlife addict. I had no direction. I had no purpose. I had no structure. Most athletes that end up retiring from their sport and they end up being in a position where they've got a lot of money and they, or things are going well in life, or they may have to kind of get by for a little bit while they try to figure out what to do. I tell those athletes, you need to structure your time and efficiently manage your schedule, just like when you were playing.
Yeah.
Day in my business, I live by my schedule, live by it. And I'm always privy to understand what's going on with my schedule. Where am I supposed to be? I remember, fellas, when I started my business as a speaker in 2013, I literally was just flying by the seat of my pants. Like I would train kids in football. So let me go back a little bit. So when I left that, did that, grew this massive company. grew up. It became an 8-figure year business. But unfortunately, gentlemen, I got very egocentric. I got very self-centered. I got very fixated on what I wanted to do in life. And I stopped treating people with respect. I stopped being on time in places. I started just basically feeling I was the best thing walking. And my best employees started to leave the organization. And I'll never forget this. I took on a job for about $4 million, and I started spending, I had to spend about an extra $3 million of change order work that was not expected or planned. And I did it. I exhausted all of my financial resources. The developer and the contractor, when it was time to repay me for that work, they denied my change order. The handshake I did with them didn't mean anything. I had no money left to fight them in court. I ended up filing a Chapter 7 complete and total bankruptcy. Wow. I was ruined. I lost it all. Home foreclosed on. Car repossessed in the same day. Both cars repossessed in the same day. When I got down here to Raleigh, only $400 to my name. That was it. And what happened is I was working for Merrill Lynch in Durham for a short time, wasn't doing well on the practice test. I got fired. All my fault. I went to a construction company the very next day, was fired from that job 5 days later.
Construction?
Yep.
How you get fired from construction, man? That's only physical, man.
Hey, because they shut down the sales store that they had because there was a masonry contractor.
Oh, okay.
So I wasn't working in the field. I was actually
in the store. You was the delegate, right.
And they shut the store down. Bam, I'm out of a job. Yeah. Wow. So I was working, man, teaching kids football and all that. And I ended up having to take another job as a custodian, working from 10 p.m. till 5 a.m. on the graveyard shift. I made $8.25 an hour.
I know you was thinking there was a better way when you was pushing that broom. I knew you had to be thinking that. You know what I'm saying? My dad, when he was working construction and going to boxing at the same time, he said he was while he was digging, he was thinking there's got to be a better way. You know what I'm saying? Real.
So then I had my rock bottom moment of clarity where somebody's trash and rotten meat and nasty protruding garbage got over my body, my skin, and my clothes. And that was my wake up call, gentlemen. And I said, if I don't get out of victim mode right now, I'll be here for the rest of my life. Right. And that's what I did. I fixed myself and I came home and I figured out what do I want to do with my life? What are my strengths?
And you did all this yourself, right? All this, talking to yourself to get yourself back on track.
Okay. Oh yeah, because I couldn't afford anything. I didn't have money to hire a coach. I was broke.
Right. I thought maybe you want to a facility or something. You know what I'm saying? But just on yourself, that's dope, man. That's very hard to do. People don't understand that's rare when you could do that, man. You know what I'm saying? That's tough.
So then from there, man, I figured I was good at communication. I was good at storytelling and wanted to help people. And I launched a speaking business in September 2013. And for 2.5 years, fellas, not one paid job. Free jobs, Boys and Girls Club, Pop Warner, et cetera, but nobody paid me a dime for my work. Wow. Got my first paid job April 2016 for Miller Mock College. They paid me $1,500 for 20 minutes of a speech at their graduation down in Wilmington, North Carolina. Did that job, got coached, got better, learned more. And then now in the last 5.5 years, I've worked for 27 Fortune 500 brands as a speaker, Home Depot, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch. I can go down the list. And I coach people, I consult. I'm a 3-time best-selling author. I'm a co-host of the Levin Marcus Show. And really and truly, gentlemen, but I'm the same guy that had no focus, no discipline, no plan of action. As a result of that, when I started my businesses after my failure and my bankruptcy, I went nowhere. When I started to learn how to get my schedule more intact and how to do things little by little, life got better. And here I am today.
No doubt.
That's phenomenal, man.
No doubt. It take a strong individual up here,
Absolutely.
But Marcus, when you hit that low point, though, were you married? Did you have a family then, or were you completely single?
No. So when I hit rock bottom, I met my wife a few months before that. And then we started dating in July of 2012. And then I filed the bankruptcy, or I started the process in February/March of 2013. And she decided to stay with me. You know, I was 32 years old. Yeah, I was 32 years old when that happened. And she said, hey, you know, I'm going to be here. You built a successful business. You had success in your life. You can do this. And I'm going to be right here to help you along the way. And we stuck together, and it was hard times. That's why my first book is called Sleepless Nights, because it was a lot of sleepless nights, hard work, not really knowing what was going to happen next. And then my life got better as I put my first book out, landed a couple speaking jobs, and started to evolve into doing some leadership, workshops and, academies, and then got into a little bit of coaching, and then got in a little bit of consulting and all this. But people say, Marcus, how are you so successful? Like, well, I started this business now, a little over 8 years ago. Mm-hmm. It was September 2013. We're now in almost November. 8 years. It's been 8 years. And I tell everybody, would you have gone through the no's that I got all of 2013, September going forward, all 2014, all of 2015, and then finally at the beginning of Q2 of 2016, I get my first paid job. So
most people wouldn't make it that far at all.
That's the key. You can't give up. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna shine at some point. The sun gonna come out, man. You know what I'm saying? So you got to keep that on your mind. And that's one thing my dad did when he was trying to get the title shot. You know what I mean? He was the uncrowned king. He was 40 something and two before they gave him a title shot. So you just think, how many times went through his head, he's going to give this thing up, you know what I mean? But he was so determined. He was like, you know what? His belief was this: as long as I keep winning, they're going to have to get it to me.
Mm-hmm. Your dad sounds a lot like Coach Kenny Monday, who was the first Black man to ever win a gold medal in the Olympics in wrestling. And he said that in the 7th grade, he lost a match that the ref cheated him out of. And his dad said, hey, look, you just worry about wrestling, just keep winning. He said, if you don't want the refs to take it from you, don't leave it to chance. Pin everybody. And he said he didn't lose a match from 7th grade until he graduated high school. And because of that, he then went on and all different things. Like he said, he's the first Black man to ever win a gold medal in wrestling in Olympic history from any continent, not just African American, a Black man from across the world. So those are the type of people we have on our podcast. Again, gentlemen, amazing stories.
No doubt.
And you're also an executive coach. Is that right, Marcus?
That's correct. I coach business leaders, people that want to start a podcast or grow it, people that want to write a book, people that are trying to go to the next level, ascend up the corporate ladder, people that want to be speakers and grow in that regard, all that kind of stuff.
And how do people find you for coaching? Do they go to your website, or are they referrals?
So they go to our website. Well, actually, a little bit of both. We get a lot of referrals from people that have, that from existing clients that people said, hey, I'm getting coached by Marcus. They tell a friend, why don't you get coached? And that happens. And also, a lot of people go to our website, but also, gentlemen, it's because of doing podcasts, things like this, having our own podcast. It's just another form of marketing. And I tell my clients, I tell everybody all the time, I don't give a damn how great your business is. If nobody knows it exists, they will never, ever be capable of buying your product.
Exactly.
Right.
I agree.
And for Marcus, for other players that are making that transition from professional sports to the corporate world, what kind of advice do you give those guys?
Figure out your 3 biggest strengths. What do you do well? Are you a good communicator? Can you help people with scheduling, planning, organizing? Are you somebody that's good at coaching? Are you somebody that is good at, connecting people? Do you have a product and or a service that can be bought by consumers that you can help solve a pain point for them. Every individual has strengths. The question is, do you have the mindset to focus on those strengths, improve your weaknesses, of course, but don't dwell on what you don't do well. Figure out what you don't do well, own it, fix it, move on. But figure out what you do best and build your strategy from there.
Somewhat just having like, just like playing sports almost, you know what I mean? You know?
Absolutely. It's life is like sports and big business are so synonymous.
Right.
As long as you can take what you've gone through in boxing, football, baseball, basketball, whatever, and figure out how to translate that into content or to communication that business or that business owner can understand. That's where a lot of athletes, I feel, have the challenge. A lot of athletes sometimes don't know how to take their skills, their prowess, their greatness from their sport and then transition and turn it into dialogue that people can understand that are in the corporate sector. And I was just like that. That's why 2013, 14, 15, 16, I mean, I got a couple pages out, nothing substantial. 17 was 2013, September going forward, rest of the year, nothing. 14, 0, 15, 0, 16, I probably got about maybe 3 or 4 jobs. 17, maybe about 5 or 6, maybe 7 or 8 the most. 18, I learned how to take my knowledge from football, my past life, my past experiences, playing the game, and took that information. I was able to transition it into dialogue that people who weren't in sports but are in corporate America could understand. And that's when I started getting larger events, more events, consulting contracts, more coaching clients. And that's why we're having a lot of success today.
That's great. Yeah, he's growing. That's my thing. Make progress. You're going to get there. You keep making progress, man. You know what I mean? That's
man.
Keep me going.
Keep going forward.
So Marcus, as far as your speaking is concerned, what really made the difference in getting more jobs? Was it you getting really, really honest about everything that you had gone through in the past? Or was it more being more relatable as far as what you did in sports and how that relates to where you are with your speaking
being able to relate to the audiences I was speaking to, that I speak to, and create for them a challenge and then give them action steps to alleviate that challenge. That's what got me on bigger stages. Like, I just wasn't going up there talking about my story or football or rambling on and on. It is a cohesive, well thought out, well laid out presentation that it hits the points the client needs to have hit and the pain points they're struggling with, along with my story, then a specific challenge to that audience, and then action steps that either speak in their lingo or they'll understand and that they can relate to fix issues and get more progress going in their businesses.
Okay, so are there any problems that you see are common amongst people when you give a speech like that?
Yeah, a lot of times people don't communicate well. Like, there's 3 parts for any business: marketing, sales, operations. When businesses aren't in sync with each other, each part of the business is not in sync with each other, the business will not thrive. It can survive and maybe just stay afloat, but it won't thrive. So you need to figure out where is the disconnect between those 3 key principal areas of any business. And then from there, create an attack plan to move forward and get it resolved.
What's your advice on what kind of motivational speakers to follow?
Here's what I tell people. Follow, get inspiration, or maybe some tips from them. Yes. Follow them and try to be like them. No. You need to follow somebody that's about 2 years or less ahead of you, because that's somebody you can do what they're doing, see what's working for them, and adjust accordingly. If you try to follow somebody that's 30, 40 years ahead of you, you'll never catch up. And you'll continuously get frustrated. You'll continue to be in a negative mindset because you're making no progress going forward.
Okay, and what are your thoughts on subconscious programming?
I think it's everything. Like you have to program your mind to push through negativity. You have to have a strong mindset, a championship mindset where you don't allow things to get into your mindset that are negative or get you off track. So subconscious programming with positive information or positive affirmations is absolutely a great way to go.
I agree.
Do you do that personally?
Of course, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, me too. That's right.
You don't do it, then you're putting yourself at risk of not getting where you want to go.
That's
Absolutely.
right. That's right. You ain't gonna get nowhere. You know what I'm saying? You stuck right there. You know, you gotta find some way to motivate yourself and to keep yourself going, because that's the competition. That's people gonna be knock you down. People steal dreams. You know what I'm saying? So if you ain't here, it's gonna be a tough road. You know.
Got that right.
So what kind of subconscious programming do you recommend?
I recommend just finding good podcasts that have great people that come on, either host and or guest, that is just positive and uplifting, that's going to get you going in the right direction. It could be personal and professional development. It could be inspiration. It could be, mind enhancement or strengthening, anything where you can get out there and get constant reaffirmation about moving forward positively. That's how I do it for myself every day going forward.
And have you tried
your inspirations?
I love Tony Robbins. I love, Les Brown. I love, Zig Ziglar, all those individuals who have, who have a real strong message of positivity. Those are the people I love to follow and listen to.
Who you looked up to?
My dad's no longer here, but it was definitely my father when he was here. I mean, all he went through, what he did, the sacrifices for me to be the best of the best. So without a doubt, my dad all day.
Right, yeah, because you watched him grow and watched how he did it. And the same way for me, people would tell me, hey, you know how to get there. You know what I'm saying? So always, when I get down or I get stuck in the rut, I always refer back to a lot of things he said, you know what I mean? And it works, man. It works.
Real true. Real life there, man.
No doubt.
Have you tried hypnosis, Marcus?
I have not. No.
Do you recommend it? What do you think about it?
I don't really know enough about it, so I can't recommend something I don't know about. I mean, I've heard good things of it from people. I've heard people that didn't really get a lot out of it. So I don't have a thought either way because I haven't done it to really have an informed opinion about it. But I know people that like it and some that don't. So I tell everybody you need to figure out what works best for you and move forward from there.
Would you try it? Would you consider it?
Yeah, if it was somebody that I knew that was recommending it to me, that I trusted, and they knew where I could go to see someone specifically that they recommend, sure, I wouldn't mind trying it, but it has to come from a trusted source.
Right.
Yeah, that's good advice. Well, Marcus, thank you so much for being on our show again. How can people find you?
Yeah, they can go to our website, www.marcusogden.com. And reach out to us, and then they can email me at marcus@marcusogden.com. They can email me at marcus_ogden@yahoo.com. So you can email me, marcus_ogden@yahoo.com, or you can reach out to me on our website, www.marcusogden.com. MARQUESOGDEN.
Okay, great.
Great meeting you, man. Great.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on, fellas. I really enjoyed it.
No doubt.
Yeah, we did too, man. Thanks a lot.
Always.
All right, bro. Take care.
See y'all later. All right.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.